grab you a cup of coffee, or in my case for this afternoon, hot chocolate. And today we are going to be doing an overview of Physics 101. Hey everyone, if you're new to our channel, we are a Christian homeschooling family of 6. We have 4 students right now. We have 2 that are in 11th. Currently in the spring, we have 2 that are 11th grade, 1 9th grader, and 1 rising 8th grader who will be completing 9th grade in 1 semester and then doing 2 spring and summer semester of 10th grade. So we have a very different variety. We also have 2 that are dyslexic, and we have 2 that are advanced placement. I'm not saying a dyslexic person can't be advanced placement. That's just how it works in our family, is that 2 of them are advanced placement. They prefer reading. They love the extra things to help them be stimulated in their schoolwork. And then I have 2 that are dyslexic that very much prefer visual learning tasks. So we kind of have a wide variety in our family. So looking at that wide variety of 2 dyslexic, 2 advanced placement, I needed a science curriculum that could meet all of that. Well, as you may have seen in the videos, and if you have not and you're looking at full science for all of high school, not just physics, I have 2 other videos on Biology 101 and Chemistry 101. These were purchased as a set from we bought them on the Interest of Genesis website. At the time, they were about $170, which we calculated that out to 4 students. My math may be way wrong on this. It was around $4 per student per class. Not a bad cost. So it was around $170 to buy all 3 of these together. If you've already made it through biology with your students and chemistry and you're just interested in physics, you will still benefit from the rest of this. But just for an overview, for anybody who might be looking at all of them and looking at the physics as kind of the tail end of reviewing all of them, Biology 101, I absolutely love. This is my favorite way of ever seeing biology taught. I had 2 biology classes in high school, long story. My husband also took biology, and then we were previewing some other biology courses before we picked this out, and this is my absolute favorite. It takes you from the first day of creation to human anatomy in here. It ends off with cells and genetics. So literally goes from day 1 to cells and genetics, their creation, Biology 101, which we also did take some of this out and add it to our health course. That's a whole nother video as well. Then right now, my 11th graders are actually finishing up. They're actually right now watching one of the discs out of here, Chemistry 101, which also goes back to where chemistry started in Genesis and takes you through the history of chemistry while teaching you about it step by step through the periodic table and explains it in a super fun way. The basic way that these DVDs have worked so far is that usually about, I can go ahead and tell you just from looking at this, you usually do about 1 video every week, every other week, depending on your school schedule. Then after that, there is a PDF that you can download from a disk. We did have to buy a separate disk drive for this, so that is a con to this, is if you do not have a computer with a disk drive, you will have to purchase a separate one to be able to get it. I don't think there's any other way to do it. You might be able to email them. I don't know if you can get a virtual copy from them. But we bought a separate disk drive to download the PDFs. There's one for students. Well, we edit one for students where it takes all the quizzes out, or all the quiz answers out, and all they have is the workbook and the quizzes. And then we have a copy of it that has the answer keys on it. And then we also have what's called the accreditation program. The accreditation program makes it super easy to teach this course. It breaks it down to supplemental things that you can do with it. Now, one of my dyslexics has went through all the way through the biology and is on the last disc of the chemistry. So what I can tell you so far of the method of teaching this is, before we get into the full overview of what they cover in the physics course, is when she just watches the videos. Like when we did biology, she was kind of hesitant because she had just come from, my oldest one is adopted. She had come from a couple of years of like workbook homeschool, and she wasn't really learning it that well. She was basically left on her own to learn with it. She didn't learn really well. She was not a very big fan of learning in general. Learning had become a chore and had become difficult, so she wasn't. But when we started using these, she opened up a lot, learned that she really loved working with animals, and watching these videos every day for a week, or for each time, like whenever we did Land Animals Part 1, she would watch the Land Animals Part 1 every day for 1 week, 2 weeks, I think it was 2 weeks with this one, leading up to the quiz, and she aced the quiz. It was the first time she'd ever made 100 on a science quiz, and so she did. So you can 100% just watch the DVDs, get enough information to pass the quizzes. Now again, the quizzes, though, you would still need to do a CD-ROM, plug into a computer, and download the PDF to access the quizzes. Which sometimes I actually will verbally read the quizzes out loud to the kids and just have them write the answers down on paper. Or you can, if you have access to a printer, we're looking at possibly replacing our printer because ours is out of ink and acting up and is extremely old. We've had it longer than the 10 years we've lived here, and that's old for technology. You can also print the quizzes off as well and have them fill them out like a print-off quiz. The other things that you can do, though, like the supplemental things that do come on that disc of like accreditation program, things you can do, that's where I fill that in for my advanced placement student. There's tons of labs. In the chemistry, there's a lab, I think, every week. In the biology, there's like a lab every other week because you're learning about animals. You can't really do labs all the time, but there's, I think, what is it they guarantee? Each one of them has a guaranteed amount of lab times, and I think it's on the accreditation how much is on there. But there is a guaranteed amount of lab times on here, and then there is also guaranteed lab time on here. Like, it tells you how many hours it should take to do that. Some people prefer watching labs and just having their kids watch it and then answer questions. You could still do that, or there's step-by-step on how to buy affordable things and do it. If you are not new to our channel, then you saw a couple months ago, we actually, during the winter break that we took, we actually did the Diet Coke and Mentos test. That was in here. That's a fairly inexpensive lab that you can do with this chemistry, and it explains the whole science behind that of how it works. So my advanced placement student is taking it as an AP course. Things that she is doing that make it an AP course. She does all the quizzes, all the tests. She does extra credit writing resources, research papers, writing out timelines for the historical portions of the biology and the chemistry. She does hands-on experiments. She does there's extra reading work you can do with it. It has a list of like suggestions of books and things that you can do. It doesn't have like specific book titles, but like one day it might say read X amount of fiction books based on this topic, or read X amount of nonfiction books based on this topic. And so she'll go and find those and we'll read those. But she adds in little things like that. That makes it advanced placement for her. Whereas my student who's dyslexic, taking it as a normal course, she watches the videos, sometimes takes the quizzes and tests, and I'm not really pushy on making her take the quiz and tests because she's dyslexic and it sometimes confuses her. But sometimes she does fine and she'll be fine with them. It just really depends on how she's doing that day. So after going through all these, we are 100% definitely sticking with the Physics 101, which we had said when we unboxed this and we started the Biology 101. If we didn't like the biology and chemistry, we wouldn't continue the physics and we'd figure out what to do with it. But since everything's going fine, we are going to continue with Physics 101. One of the things I love about the entire series, though, is sometimes kids get like attached to specific teachers and things. And especially like middle school, high school, especially like a Christian kid, you get used to having the same youth group counselor. You're not going to change youth group counselors every year like you do like public school teachers. And then like in the home, you still have the same parent. What I love about video things is whenever you have the same teacher. And in a way, it feels like it's still one continuation of it. It's not brand new class, oh no, be afraid, everything's new. No, you still have the exact same teacher that you had for biology and chemistry, and now he's just talking about physics. So that is one of the things I love. The other thing I love is that on the back, it actually does tell you and help you to break it down to the number of weeks that you need. So last year, because we had one semester classes, we had one semester of health, and then right now we're working through one semester of personal finance. It helped me to break down like how many weeks we actually do roughly for each semester. And each semester runs roughly 16 to 18 weeks of actual teaching class time. It doesn't count for fall break, winter break, spring break, those things. So if you take that out in 17, we have roughly 34 to 35 weeks of school year. Well, this has 20 lessons in it. So now I can sit down and say, okay, which of these lessons, and I can go into the accreditation program and say, hey, which of these might I need more time for labs for? Which of these can I add a field trip for? And that's the weeks that I'll maybe do like 2 weeks for that one lesson. And then they'll, of course, watch the video again before taking the quiz. So let's talk about how it breaks it down. This one does have, because most people, you take physics your senior year because you have to have Algebra 2 before you can take physics. You have to have Algebra 1 before you can take chemistry and Algebra 2 before you can take physics. So most people take it their senior year. So it's a more advanced class, and they also say it's designed for 15 and up. although it's appropriate to view with your entire family. Usually all my kids watch it, and when we're traveling, I will take these with us and we'll put it in the DVD player in our van and they'll watch it and it runs it just fine. Or at home we run it, like right now they're watching one and it's in the Blu-ray player for the chemistry one. So they're fairly easy to use, and it says it still has the accreditation program, the quizzes, the guidebooks, all of that. So the first video is Introduction to Physics. And on the discs, it does still have, and I love how it has like the protective things in here for the discs. The first one is always an introduction. It's just a rough, here's how it's going to go. And he does some little like skits and things that makes it fun to watch. It's not just watching this super serious scientist who's just glaring at the camera, this is how physics. No, he makes it really fun to watch. But disc A, we're going to go through the introduction, and the introduction takes 30 minutes. So for the first class, what I would do for the first day that we do science, which I try to break it up since we do movies as literature and we do so much like visual learning, I try to break them up and spread them apart. So usually with science, we do it either on Tuesday or Thursday, depending on our schedule. And like I said, if we're traveling, I can take it with us. But introduction is 30 minutes. So I would do that, just that. When there's an introduction one in here for a new course, we do just that for that day. We don't do anything extra. We don't do any extra reading. Even if it's suggested, we don't do it. We just do the video just to have an introduction to it. And then we would pick up the next week. So the first unit in here says the physics of light. So we're going to go through like the light. Madeline, when she was in Abeka, we already went through these things because Abeka teaches like super advanced. I liked Abeka from when my kids were in grade school. I didn't like it once my kids got into middle school because I felt like there was way too much supplemental information for a homeschool family, and we were spending 8 to 10 hours a day doing school, and I don't homeschool to spend 8 to 10 hours a day just doing sit-down book work because I don't like that style of teaching. So we did move away from it, but it did have the option on there of like, hey, these are some topics that we're going to cover. So the first thing on here is the physics of light. The second unit on here is only 2 days or 2 weeks worth, or 2 lessons. There's 20 lessons. The physics of sound. Now that's going to be fun. We actually already have some really cool hands-on things that we can do for sound. We have 2 different tuning forks we can use and experimental things that we can do for that. We already have some lab stuff that we had bought when we were doing Monarch, which is all online, and then you could buy kits to go with it. So that's going to make it really fun to do. The next one on here is the physics of heat. So that's going to be some fun experiments with their dad, because when we do anything with like fire or experiments that requires us to go outside, that is totally with their dad for that. One battery changed later, and I went ahead and also pulled up the accreditation program on my phone, had to email it to myself from my computer. We'll look at that in just a second. Let's finish on here. I think we already did light, sound, heat. The next one is electricity. So fun fact, my husband actually took an electricity elective for homeschool his senior year, right before he graduated. So I think he's going to have fun with that one. He loves putting stuff together. And I have one who has done like freelance robotics, not like an actual electives course for school yet, but she did do robotics for fun. I think that'll be fun to bring that in. We might buy some more robotics stuff for that. I'll look at the accreditation here in a minute. And I won't tell you what all is on the accreditation because that like is their copyrighted content. I just share overview and review with you, and I do kind of tell you what's included in the curriculum because like you can look that up for free. And then all the information on here. So the next one is the physics of motion, and it basically goes through the laws of motion, Isaac Newton, history lesson, things like that. You know, I did that in 6th, 7th grade in public school. So this should be review for them. Again, like my personal opinion is that I still think middle school is a huge waste of time because like it feels like everything we did in middle school is now being repeated in high school. Like we did physics in middle school, we did chemistry in middle school, we did biology in middle school, and now we're repeating it again. Just my personal opinion, honestly, it just really is. But if you look at the one-room schoolhouse effect, they were graduating at 14, 15, 16 because they were done. So that's just where I am. Anyway, so physics of motion, and then there's one called the physics of the weird. That's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to that. And then it's also the last lesson is on the future of physics. So that's kind of an overview of what all will be covered. And it looks like they do review, like there's a picture on here of biology, chemistry, and physics, and talk about the difference between them. And I love that that is included as well. Now let's move on to the accreditation program. So the accreditation program, again, is a file that you have to download from one of the discs, and it has all the information on there. Matt went ahead and did chemistry and physics at the same time, so that I could already have physics whenever I needed to go ahead and look at it. And already looking ahead, because again, I've said this before in other videos, I don't like to even think about planning homeschool in the summer. I want it to be done so that we can enjoy our summer, because we do a summer semester. It's for supplemental classes and for just like my kids that want to work on additional courses, and I might as well give them credit for the additional courses that they want to work on. But we do have 2 designated breaks, 2 weeks before and 2 weeks after the summer break. And on that second one, we're going to Michigan and Canada. So like, I don't want to even be thinking about it. I want to be able to come back, have our couple of days of R&R post vacation, and then get right into our school year without having to be like, oh no, I need a plan, I need to know what to do. I want to go ahead and have it done before May so that we can just focus on this summer and spend this summer together, because it's the last summer of our kids being kids and being all 4 of my kids at home together. So that's kind of where we are. There is a getting started on here on how to collect lab items, what the general idea is. 32, there are 32 labs and 40 hours of lab work in this one, whereas I think the biology was 10 hours lab work. So again, higher advanced class, more lab work. But it's such a fun lab, the way they do it. The other thing that they do is, I can't show you on screen again, they're copyright material. They give you an items list that you can print out for all, well, no, not for biology, because there were so few labs when they didn't. But on the chemistry and physics, you can print out a list and it will tell you which segment is, each one needs. So like segment 1, the only thing you really need is your notebook. They highly suggest that that all 3 sciences, you have a notebook designated just for that class. So like segment 1, the only thing you need is your notebook. And then segment 2, there's an experiment. So it's what do you need for that experiment? And then it goes on and on from there. And like segment 12 has 3 experiments. And so it breaks it apart of what do you need for each one of those. But I love that it has that list that you can print out. Or like I said, I downloaded it on the computer, and then now I have it on my phone because I emailed it to myself. And now I can just look at this list when I'm out shopping and be like, oh, this segment of physics is coming up this week. We need this for the list. Or, oh, hey, I need to go to my science area in our office where we keep chemicals and things like that, and go and see what we need for that project. And then it shows on here, like segment 1, activities for weeks 1 and 2. So they do have like a suggested week breakdown for these classes. And then there's even like, if you wanted to, you could print this out and you can check off actual hours spent on it, because there's some school or some states require, and some umbrella schools require you to track hours for each class. So you could actually print this off or open it in a PDF. I don't know if you could open it in a PDF. Maybe. I haven't tried that. You could write in actual hours and then sign off. Either parent initials it, and then that way you can turn it in and say, here's our proof that we did this. And it gives a detail of what you did. The other thing that it does is like, okay, so start the notebook, and then it tells you how long it should take you to watch the video, and then what pages of the guidebook you need to read to coincide with it. The guidebook is a separate file. I didn't download that one to my phone yet. And then research and report, it says around 7 minutes and 30 seconds. Okay, so now I know how long that's going to take to watch that clip and do, we're on the video to watch that. Sorry, we're on the video to watch that. And now I know where to go back on that and what to do. And then it suggests, for this one, it's a report. And then the next one is a research project. And then it shows you how long it should take you to do the final and the quiz and all that. And then the next week, when we're actually getting into like the light and color, it tells you when to watch, how to watch it, the lab for it, a research and report 1, research and report 2, and a final. Let me see if I can find one. So the chemistry and the biology actually had suggested field trips. Now with this being a class drawn more for 16, 17, 18-year-old high school graduates, it may not. But like segment 7 has 4 labs, a drawing assignment, which my kids love that, a research assignment, and then what to do for the final part of that. Lab, research, and report. I'm trying to see if there is. There's not. It doesn't look like there's actually any. Oh, here we go. Segment 11. It has 2 field trip suggestions. And what I love about this course is at the end of every one, your written assignment for your field trip is to send a thank you letter to the place that hosted you for that field trip. Oh, that speaks to my heart. I love that. I love that idea because that's something I try to implement with my kids. That's why we love the postcard method. If you subscribe to us at a certain level on our membership channel and provide your address, we send you postcards because we want to say thank you so much for supporting us and helping us continue making these videos and keep the videos free for people, except for the few videos that we make just for members at their request because they're paying to watch them. That's part of who we are. We love sending thank you letters. So I love that it includes like thank you letters. And I love the prompt in there because sometimes you get busy as a mom and you forget, what was I going to do again today? Why did I enter this room? Why did I do this assignment? So like, I love those prompts in there. But yeah, this one actually has field trip suggestions. It has multiple labs. There are way more labs than physics. I'll go ahead and say that. Oh, I won't spoil it, but there's a fun assignment for the first section on law of motion. This one has a picture with it. That's interesting. Normally this is black and white. And yeah, so it breaks it down of like how to do each lab, how long each lab takes. And then it has the segment names. Oh, that's cool. This is new. Physics 101 labs, and it breaks it down to the segments and the name of each lab for each week. That way, if you want like just a list to pin up somewhere really quick, these are the labs we're doing this day, then you could do that. And if you're like us and have a designated lab supply spot, you could actually like hang it in your lab supply spot. And then that way it kind of reminds you that, hey, you need to buy these things for the lab experiment. So I love that they added that for the physics. And then it says, thank you for using Physics 101. On the guidebook, what we do is because we use, we have a subscription to Adobe. That's how we edit our videos, our thumbnails. And it also gives us that, Adobe. And then we also have the one where you can make PDFs. And so what we do is because we have the subscription, we can edit PDFs. Matt and myself can, the kids cannot. So what we do is before we email it to the kids at the beginning of the school year, and we already have it ready to email to them. So like, I know I said, be ready, but like, I also don't want to email it to them ahead of time because then that kind of makes them think they have to do it right then and there. So I wait until the first day of school and email it to them then, but it's in my computer to do, like immediately. We can do it as soon as we get back from Canada. What we did was we went ahead and we already have one saved, says guidebook, and we renamed it for teens. All we did was we didn't remove the quizzes and tests. If you have a child that you're afraid is going to cheat, and I get it, okay, I'm not judging, this is no judgment at all. There was a time in my life where one of my kids kept attempting to cheat, and that was one of the reasons why we ended up switching from Becca, because she was so stressed about school that she was cheating on some of her quizzes to get ahead. And then once we switched away from Rebecca and we found out that was not working for our kids, we didn't have that problem anymore. Actually, I shouldn't say anymore, as much. We didn't have that problem as much. We're all sinners. We all do things wrong. We're all tempted to do things. Anyways, if you have a child that way, I would take the quizzes and tests off. The only thing we did was we took the answer key, because I'm fine with my kids looking ahead and being like, hey, maybe I should go back and look for this question. I mean, they're not going to have the questions memorized before they do it. I'm okay with them just going ahead and looking. I mean, some of them might. I have two that probably could, but starting to lose my voice after a day of recording. I need to wrap up. That's it. That's the review for Physics 101. We will do a full review of Chemistry 101 coming up as soon as the semester ends, but my voice is cutting out. Thank you to all of our members for supporting this content and allowing us to continue making videos. And thank you to every single one of you. Even if you can't become a member, thank you for liking, watching, positive comments, and subscribing. We'll see you next time.